Would I enter this into a competition? No! Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Daryl Smith and I'm a home brewer in the UK. I like to homebrew and bake things and share my experiences with you. So on this video, I'm going to share with you brewing a SMaSH, which is a type of beer where you use a single malt, SM, and a single hop, SMaSH. It's a flyabout. So a SMaSH beer just requires you getting a single malt and a single hop. Normally you'd use like a base malt as a SMaSH beer brewed using something like, I don't know, a crystal malt is going to be really intense and weird. It's not going to taste like beer because no one brews beers with 100% crystal malt. The reason this beer is so important is because it really lets you understand the taste of the particular malt you're brewing with, as well as the taste of the particular hop you're brewing with. You know, it's well known amongst brewers that hops like Citra, Amarillo, Mosaic, Simcoe, they all meld together really well in beers. But do you actually know what Simcoe hops taste like? Do you know what a Mosaic hop tastes like? Can you identify what each of those hops are actually bringing to the table? You may have read like their flavor profiles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you could pick out that hop. Whereas brewing a SMaSH does help you develop that ability. Not only that, but because the recipes are relatively easy to follow because there's only one malt and only one hop, you can work really hard on getting the process of brewing correct, which is far more important than any far out there recipe that requires, I don't know, 8 different hops and adjuncts and like loads of different malts. You know, if you are brewing wrong, then a SMaSH will point that out to you better than any other type of brewing. It also allows you to do like really cool experiments, like you could brew the exact same beer a few times, but use a different yeast every time. Then you kind of know what that yeast is bringing to the table. Same with hops, same with everything involved in brewing. A SMaSH allows you to really hone your craft and learn exactly what everything is bringing to the table. So a SMaSH beer can follow any type of beer's recipe. So you could follow, say, an IPA's recipe or an APA, which is what I'm going to do in this video. An APA is an American Pale Ale. It's almost identical to an IPA, but officially you shouldn't do a dry hop on an APA, although some people do, but then it's technically an IPA. And I don't want to get into the details of classification here, but you just need to match the suggested IBUs of whatever recipe you're following, and then you should get a balanced beer. So on this brew day, I decided to go with Simpson's Best Pale Ale Malt, along with El Dorado hops. And as I said before, I decided to go for an APA recipe. I actually tried to follow very closely to David Heath's APA recipe, but I obviously altered it slightly to make it a single hops recipe. If you've never heard of David Heath, then do search him on YouTube. He's got a fantastic channel where you'll learn loads and loads and loads of amazing skills from. So with that out of the way, let's see how I got on the brew day. Using Beersmith 3's built-in water profile tool, I set up a hoppy water profile. It worked out that I needed to add some gypsum and Epsom salts to the water. I set it in with half a Camden tablet and left it for 30 minutes to allow chlorine to leave the water. I then started heating up the water to a target temperature of 72 degrees. Whilst it was heating, I measured my grains, which was 5 kilograms of Simpson's Best Pale Ale Malt. Once the water was up to temp, I added my grain bags and the grains, making sure to stop and stir regularly to avoid clumping. The grains reduced the water's temperature to my target mash temperature of 67 degrees Celsius. I used a thick blanket to help avoid too much heat loss, and then gave the grains a good stir 30 minutes into the mash. After another 30 minutes, I checked the temperature again and then started stirring for 15 minutes so to get all the sugars out the grains. I then drained the grain bag, squeezed it, and left it to drip for 15 minutes whilst I got the wort boiling. I tested the pH using pH paper. I wasn't really convinced by what it was telling me, and so I ordered a digital one, which I will be using in future brews. I then made a mess pouring 20 ml of lactic acid to lower the pH. I then immediately made another order for a pipette to avoid further spillages. I began to weigh out my El Dorado additions, and I actually messed up my measurements here. Do not follow this recipe unless you've watched this entire video. Anyway, the grains were done giving out their sugars, and it was time to get on the boil. Once the boil began, I added my 60-minute hop addition of 10 grams of El Dorado. Whilst that was boiling, I prepared some Irish moss and yeast nutrient. Always follow the packet's instructions, but if you're using Kveik yeast, I would recommend that you double the recommended amount of yeast nutrient. With just 15 minutes left of the boil, I added my copper cooling coil, so to sanitize it, along with 11 grams of hops. When there were just 10 minutes left, I then added my nutrient and Irish moss. With just 5 minutes left, I added 20 grams of hops. When the time was up, I then added 20 more grams of hops and cooled the wort to 85 degrees and then left it to steep for 15 minutes. At the end of the hop stand, I then got the wort to 40 degrees Celsius and added it to the fermenter, allowing some splashing to help add oxygen. In went my Kveik Voss Yeast, and after a bit of a shake, I put it onto a heat pad and left it in the fermenter for a week before bottling. So we're now actually about 2 months on from the brew day. Here is the El Dorado beer. Now, as I alluded to earlier in the video, this kind of went wrong, but also right at the same time. It's a little complicated to explain, but basically when I converted David Heath's recipe onto Brew Smith for me to then turn it into a APA recipe, which was going to be a SMaSH, I forgot to sort out the IBUs. Like I said earlier, I didn't actually match them correctly. I almost put in about half as many hops as I should have. So I've accidentally made quite an unbalanced SMaSH IPA. I did try this with my dad. I've actually drank quite a few of these and actually gave Dad quite a lot of these. I can tell that there is something not quite right with this beer. As I've already said, this has got about half the hops as what it should have had in it. So something I can be pretty proud of, just how clear this beer actually is. It's the clearest beer that I've ever made. I mean, part of that is because it's under hopped. There's less haze being caused by hops inside it, but my God, it's like a lager. It's so clear. I'm really pleased with what it looks like. You know, it looks like fantastic beer. It's obviously not got a massive head. Depends on what SMaSH you're making, but quite often you're not going to get like a long staying head because there's been no malt added to try and help create a head. So smelling it, it smells malty. I'm getting no hop character really. Just a slight bit of fruit, but mostly malt. A problem in this as well is that El Dorado is not the punchiest of hops compared to, say, your Citras, your Mosaics. This isn't like a kick in the teeth kind of hop. So to have that under-hopped, it, you know, really does present its issues. But anyway, enough of me complaining about this beer. Let me actually taste it. It's nice. It's all right. It tastes like, you know, I don't know what the American equivalent of this, if you're American watching this, but it tastes like the kind of beers that you might find in Home Bargains. You know, they're all right. They're not going to upset you, but, you know, they've clearly made a lot of shortcuts to make a 69p can of beer. This is in that category. It's inoffensive, but it's not like worth all the effort, you know? It's all right. Would I enter this into a competition? No. So there should be like a pineapple element to El Dorado, but I really am mostly getting malt. Slight bit of bitterness, but none of that kind of fruitiness that I was really hoping to get from the El Dorado. What did I do at this point? I considered just like getting rid of this video and starting again, just doing a different SMaSH. And then I thought, oh, but maybe this is a good learning, you know? Hopefully you won't make the same mistake as me and accidentally underhop your beer massively. I was going to do the exact same beer again and never tell you about the time when I mucked it up. But then I thought that that's no use to anyone. It's more helpful to help you see my mistakes. So I had actually ran out of El Dorado hops at this point, and I needed to use triple the amount that I had used here. Because I've actually got quite a lot of molten hops that I really need to use up in the next few months. So I really did not want to order more El Dorado. So instead, I went and did another single hop beer. I have got with me the exact same recipe, but correctly hopped with the right IBUs to match the APA recipe of David Heath's, but this time I used Chinook hops. So obviously drinking these side by side is not 100% fair, but it will give me a better sense of if this would have been good. And here it is. This is the exact same beer brewed about less than 2 weeks after the El Dorado, but this time brewed right. So straight away, there's a big color difference. This one is much more cloudy. I mean, I can't really see through it, whereas I can see very much through this one. That'll be because of the hops. Also, this one has obviously had a bit longer to settle out, which will affect how hazy it is. Smell-wise, mostly malt, but quite boring smell. Whereas this, get a bit more of a hop hit. Not a massive hop hit, but that is because there's not a dry hop in this, so it's not going to have like huge amount of aroma. Obviously, it tastes different. You're getting a lot of the flavors that you'd expect with Chinook. You know, it's got that grapefruitiness to it, a bit of pine as well, way more bitter, way more balanced. Because this is underhopped, it's much more malt forward and so much sweeter, whereas this is much more balanced, getting more of that hoppiness, big grapefruit vibes. Chinook's one of those ones where it's a bit like Mosaic, how actually it should always really be matched with another hop. You know, there's not any big beers that I'm aware of that are just using Chinook hops, but it's really good. Very grapefruity. I mean, this really is how process can alter a beer. This beer is the better one. This I would give people, whereas this one, my dad will drink anything. I'll give it to him. I'll drink it myself to use them up. It's not going to impress anyone. Whereas this, I'm really pleased with. The hops have made it an excellent beer. A good question to ask whenever you make a SMaSH is, would I ever use that hop again as a SMaSH? Probably not with Chinook. It's delicious. It's very grapefruity, but Chinook is just one of those hops where it just feels like it needs something else to really elevate it, another hop to give it a boost. El Dorado is much better suited when you hop it correctly as a SMaSH beer. It's just got fantastic aroma. It's good for bittering, whereas Chinook is a bit more of a bittering hop really, which is why it's giving me plenty of bitterness here, why it's creating that kind of grapefruity taste to it. But it needs another hop to boost it. So yeah, that's taught me a lot. I'm really interested by how much the colors are different. I think that's really the biggest surprise here. I really feel like I need to make more SMaSH beers. I love learning how hops actually taste and how malts actually taste. So let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite SMaSH combination if you've brewed one before? What hop goes really well with what malt in your experience? I've heard a lot of times that Mosaic apparently goes really well with Marisotta. Apparently the biscuitedness from Marisotta just melds really well with Mosaic. I'd be really interested to know what your take is on SMaSHes and what hops you would say that I absolutely have to try out in a SMaSH. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something through my mistakes and my successes. Stick around, check out some of my other videos. Should be around here or there or there, I don't know, or on this sidebar, or is it that side? Thank you for watching till the end, it means a lot, and have a good day. Cheers.